Hey, and welcome back to the Woodgrafter. We're continuing the build of the coffee table, and today we're going to complete those drawers, put the bases in and fit them to the unit. That sounds good? Stick around. Hi and welcome to the Woodgrafter. My name's Andy Gile, and if you're new here, welcome. Our mission is to inspire, educate and support you in your journey to becoming a better woodworker. We do that through a whole series of video tutorials, deep dive project builds such as this one where we really look at how we make something in great amount of detail. We do tool tips, we do tool reviews, we do techniques, news from the industry, and just get together for a good old chat. There's a website that accompanies the YouTube channel, so if you're not a member over there, crack on, subscribe, www.thewoodgrafter.com. And with that said, let's get going. So last time we were together, we did all the dovetail work on the drawers and just loosely fitted them into the unit. And you can see we've got these nice blind dovetails, we've got through dovetails at the back. Now today I want to put the bases into these units. Now I've gone ahead and I've prepared the panels. This is 15mm poplar, and all I've done, I've just laminated two boards together. These haven't yet been cleaned up, so they're straight out of the clamps. And what we're going to do is put a 10mm groove inside the drawer. We're going to put a profile on this to bring the thickness of the edges down to 10mm, and then this will be a floating panel inside the drawer, and that gives you a really nice strong construction inside your drawer unit. Obviously floating panel because we're using real wood, and that's going to expand and contract, and we need to allow for that. Now you could easily go ahead and use something like a 10mm ply if you didn't want to use solid wood, and in that case you wouldn't need to worry about the expansion and contraction. But we're sticking to our guns and using solid material. Not an awful lot to say about the technique. I brought everything down using the planer jointer to around about that 15mm mark. A few dominoes inside for strength and alignment, and clamped these together. So the only thing that's really worth talking about is that clamping technique. Obviously when you put clamping pressure on, this panel has got a tendency to bow, and with it being relatively thin, it will bow up. So all I've done, alternating clamping pressure, one at the top, two at the bottom to offset that, and then a couple of small clamps here to just hold this flat against the bar on the clamp, and that ensures that these come out perfectly flat with no bow inside it. Now I've not cleaned the drawer unit up yet, and you can see I've still got the marks here that shows my reference edge. Now these marks now clearly indicate to me that's the top of the drawer. So the groove that we need to cut in has to come into the base of this drawer somewhere around about here. Now obviously we don't want the groove showing from the outside, so we're going to cut the groove in the centre of these bottom sockets here, that socket there and that socket there. Yeah, and we'll go down about 10mm. This is 15mm and this was about 20mm, so that should be okay. Now obviously the groove's also got to come down the two sides, and on this back pin here we don't want to take the groove all the way through because that will show on the end of the joinery. So this will be a stop dado that will finish about 10mm in from this shoulder. On the other end, where we've got the blind dovetail, that doesn't matter so much because that's not going to show on that final piece. So it's quite a simple procedure that we do over at the router table. So I've dropped an 8mm straight cut bit inside the table. Once again I'm using the oversized ring, and that's just to aid dust extraction. And I've set my mini gauge to 10mm, and that's just going to allow me to set the height of the bit. Now my reference edge against the fence, I just want to set this to halfway in that first socket, which is going to be about there. And now I can lock that down. Just going to check myself with the back piece, and once again that should be halfway in that socket, and it is, and the height all looks good. With that done, I can now go ahead and make the cuts on all the pieces on all of these grooves. And what we end up with is this nice groove cut through the panel, nice and clean. Obviously the dovetails go into this part here to hide that channel, and that's it, front and back done. Now this is a little bit harder because obviously we don't want to cut the channel through this dovetail here. This end doesn't matter so much because that's a blind dovetail and will be hidden by the front, but this end does matter. So obviously I'm not moving the fence because I want the groove to be in exactly the same position, but I want to cut this through here and keep cutting until our reference mark, that 10mm mark, lines up on the furthest point of this bit here, which is going to be about there. So knowing that, I can just drop a stop block in here, like so. Now this setup will work for everything that's a right hand side board, and that will work continually and that'll be repeatable. But the left hand boards are slightly different. As you can see, the orientation's different, and if I have my outside face upwards and my reference edge against that, straight away I'm going to be cutting into the full dovetail, not into the blind dovetail end, and that's not what we want. So this setup works for all the right hand boards. We'll then need to look at a different setup for all the left hand boards. But while we're here, let's get the right hand boards done. And if it works out, and it has, you can see we've got the channel cut there and it's nicely into that dovetail, and you can't see that from the end. Excellent, get them all cut. Now for the left hand boards, we're going to have to do it slightly differently. We're going to have to make a plunge cut at that 10mm mark, and then we can go ahead and complete the entire cut. So again, just going to make a 10mm mark where I want this to end, which is going to be about there. This time I'm interested in this side of the router bit. So I want to line up that mark to roughly that position there, and now set my stop block up at this end of the board there. Now this technique's a little bit trickier. We're going to plunge down here onto a solid part of the board, and then I'm going to do a step climb by bringing this back ever so slowly and in control until I touch the stop, and then I can go ahead and finish the cut off. Plunging down to there, step cut, and make the cut. So you can see what we end up with. We've now got the grooves, exactly the same idea, it's in the right place, it's all the way through. You can see it stops inside this dovetail, so it's all nicely cut up, and that would work well. So we just do that with the remaining 3 pieces. Now what I will say about that technique, it works, but please, 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 if you're going to try that technique, be very, very, very careful. Obviously the router bit is exposed, you're doing a climb cut which tends to jiggle your wood around, and it's got all the hallmarks of being a problem for you. So make sure you're not going to be disturbed. You don't want the family running in halfway through that and distracting you. Take your time, concentrate, never allow your hands to pass over the bit, move your hands around so they're clear of the bit at all times, just in case that wood slips, and do it at your own risk. Okay, let's see where we ended up. So if our thinking, our measurements and our techniques have worked out well, we've now got a drawer where there's no visible grooves on the outside of the drawer, and running round inside here we've got this nice groove that's consistent all the way round, and that's the same in every one of those drawers. Perfect. So the next job is to drop in the bottom. Now here's the panels that I made off camera, and as you can see they are too big, and they're too big deliberately. So I now need to work out the size I want to cut these panels to. So the next job is I want to work out the size of the panel that we're going to drop into the base of the drawer. So we'll just take some simple dimensions. Internal width is 238, 238, and the overall length of the drawer unit is 426, 426. But we know we've got a 10mm channel all the way around in the base of this drawer. So 238 actually becomes 258, and 426 becomes 446. That's the maximum size my panel can take. However, I know that my panel is going to expand and contract during the summer months. I'm making this in winter, so I'm expecting this to increase in size by about 5% as I come into summer. Now I'm deliberately orientating the grain in this direction inside the drawer, so my expansion and contraction is going to be front to back and minimal side to side. This is where I'm expecting the 5% expansion to come in. So if I was to cut this board at 258, I expect it to expand by 5%. 258 multiplied by 0.05, nearly 13 millimeters. So if I was to cut the base of my unit exactly at this 258 measurement, when I come to summer, this will expand by 5%, which is 12.9 millimeters, meaning this board will be round about 271, 270.9. And if I don't allow for that expansion, obviously that's going to damage the drawer in some way. So what I actually want to do is to take 5% off the 258. So 258 minus 5% equals 245.1. So I actually want to make my board somewhere around about 245 wide, and by doing that, that's going to allow for the 5% expansion and contraction we're going to get through the seasons. So 245 is the overall width. The length 446 is okay. We don't need to allow for expansion and contraction in that way, so we make that somewhere 445ish, just to give me a little bit of scope. Now obviously if you were using plywood, you wouldn't need to worry about that, but if you're using solid wood, as I am, then you do need to be concerned about it. Now go for that exercise in every single one of the drawers, because remember there may be variance in the drawer sizes. Now that's all our panels cut to size. Now these are obviously 15 millimeters thick, and the grooves that we made around the bottom of the drawers was 8 millimeters. So we need to make this thinner at the edges. Variety of ways you can do that. You can come in with a panel raising bit and just take that down to the appropriate size. You can come with a hand plane and just put a chamfer on the edge to get to the overall size. Or you could use a 45-degree bit in the router. Variety of things you're going to do. I'm just going to use a nicely profiled router bit just to give me a little bit of decorative feature on the underside of this, but the technique's pretty much the same if we're going to do it on the router table. So you can see the profile I've gone for here, just this nice little sweeping curve, and so happens that the distance between the base of this cutter and the top of this cut here is the right size to leave me with around about 8 millimeters fit. So I've set up my split fence and I've lined up the fence with the bearing as you normally would, and I'm going to slowly increase this. And what I'm going to do is to take a light pass and test the fit, increase it and test the fit until I get this to the right height. And there you are. Now that's a fit that I'm looking for. Got a nice profile on that, nice and rounded, and it fits in there reasonably well and tight. Good. So we now just put that profile all the way around the panel. As always, we do the end grain first, then we do the long grain, then the end grain, then the long grain. And that's simply to clear out these tear outs that you're bound to have when you're doing this exercise. So that's everything now ready. I've gone ahead and I've completed all of the boards and put the profile into every board, and I've also given this 2 coats of the final finish. Now the reason I'm giving this 2 coats now is because this is not going to be glued in, it's allowed to float inside the drawer. And if I was to put this drawer in and assemble it and then put the coat of finish on, as this expands and contracts, a different colour material would start to appear as untreated material comes inside the drawer. So 2 coats of the final finish has been applied and everything is now profiled, ready to go. I've also sanded the inside face of all of the drawer components. Not too worried about the outside yet, but the inside has all been sanded up to 180 grit, ready for its final finish. The reason I've done that is once the drawer's assembled, it's very hard to get to that to do the sanding, so I've gone ahead and I've finished that now. So I'm ready to go ahead and assemble the drawer. So all my parts are laid out, ready to go. I've got my usual glue, I've got my usual glue stick, and I've got a paintbrush. I've also made some cauls that I'm going to use to obviously clamp this thing together, because I don't want to mark the outside of the drawer with clamping pressure. And all I've done, I've cut these to the appropriate side over on the Capex, and I've made sure that I've got one good flat face. Now these are actually going to sit on top of the dovetails on the outside, but on the top of the dovetails. So also give this a couple of coats of wax, nothing exciting, just finishing wax, and that will just stop the glue sticking to this surface. And so I know which side I've waxed. I've just scribbled some marks, some crosses on that piece of wood, so I know that's my waxed side. And the final thing I've done is I've made myself a couple of clamping blocks. Now this is to ensure that the drawers come together nice and square when I assemble and glue them. And there's nothing special about these. They're just a scrap piece of oak in this case, because that's what I had lying about. And I've just made sure that one corner is square. So this face here is square to this face here. Don't care about the rest. I've just concentrated on that one corner, and similarly on that, and I've made 2 of those. Now let me talk you through the technique I'm going to use before I actually go through and do the glue up. So I'm going to start by assembling one end of the drawer unit like so. And then I'm going to take the clamping block with one of the square sides and just rest it against that edge, so it's lying flat on this face here. I'm just bringing in a bit of light clamping pressure and making sure it stays flush on this face. That now brings that side into square, and then I do exactly the same on the other side. Light clamping pressure and just clamp that down. Now carefully lie this on its back, and I want to put some more clamping pressure in this direction, and again it's light clamping pressure that's required, and just tighten that down. Now what that will do is that will bring this joint into square, and if we just turn this over carefully, I should be able to show that. And just bringing the square in, that corner is now perfectly square, and that corner as well is perfectly square. Now with those blocks clamped into place like that, I can then go ahead and assemble the drawer. I can bring the base in, I can put the top on, and I can glue it together and take its final clamping. Now that's purely to make sure that the drawers are square when we actually clamp these together. So I'm going to go through now and actually glue up this drawer, and you'll see how the clamp comes together. So there you go, the drawer is now glued up, and something as simple as a square clamping block guarantees that my drawer is square. Now you can do it without those blocks, but they're so easy to make it's just not worthwhile. And you can buy those blocks as well, but same concept, they're so easy to make, why spend money? And all you're looking to do is to make sure that you clamp this drawer up and it's square. Obviously the drawer's out of alignment. When you come to fit it into its final hole, it's not going to fit, it's going to be twisted, and that will ruin your final results. So 40 seconds of work, square edge, use that in your initial setup, and then clamp around that as we did here, guarantees that you've got a square drawer. Also, using these coils in this way, where I can actually clamp them across the joints, make sure that those outside of those joints are nicely seated and nice and firm, and there'll be no gaps in this drawer once we take these clamps off. So the only problem with this technique, of course, is the number of clamps that you need. You need 8 clamps per drawer, but it's worth doing that and not compromising on it to give you the results that you want. So I'll go ahead and do a second drawer. I'll let all this dry up, then I'll do the final 2 drawers, and on the next episode we'll look at putting the final finish on this and fitting these drawers into this table, and at that point the job's complete. I'll see you for the final episode next time.